Welcome to Original Review, your destination for Netflix original movie reviews. We are your hosts. I'm Clint. He's Nick.
I am Nick indeed.
Let's dive in, Nick. So, today we're going to be reviewing Between Two Ferns, the movie. What were some of your thoughts going into this?
Opening thoughts. Well, before I even watched it, I was excited. It's an avid viewer of all the Between Two Ferns episodes. Huge fan of the media coverage when Obama went on. Just kind of the static that Zach creates whenever he does stuff like this. I always love. And what I loved even more just from the opening scene was that formatting change from after the opening scene for the title screen, adding the movie and taking it from that 10 by 10 to the 9 by 16, which I love.
I fully endorse that as well. That was I actually have that in my notes.
Yeah.
Traversely, I had not a lot of experience with the Between Two Ferns YouTube videos and stuff prior to seeing this movie, right? So prior to watching, of course, I dug in, watched a few of the big ones. Brad Pitt, Hillary Clinton. A lot of the President Obama,
Right.
I dug into those, and so I could kind of get a feel for it. I liked it, and I knew sort of what to expect at that point. But prior to that, I had no idea what I was getting into.
And what's funny about that is I introduced myself as a Between Two Ferns super fan. However, I had no idea Hillary had been on Between Two Ferns.
Really?
I was unaware of that one.
Oh, that was a funny one. That was a funny one.
My goodness, I don't know how I missed that one.
I remember that one just because the closing joke on that one made it onto so many meme pages and things of the sort. The joke went something like, "Well, Mrs. Clinton, this has been really fun. We should definitely keep in touch. What's the best way to reach you? Email." So it's. That one got out, so I've seen that end scene before, and I was like, that's what it's from. So it's around. So should we dive into casting?
Well, I guess I did have a few more opening thoughts, for sure. And they're all mostly just about the opening of the movie. But I also loved Zach's line with this. Also, I guess I should say first, Are we spoiling? Should we put a spoiler alert? Okay,
yes.
That's what I thought, because a lot of my notes are spoilers.
Yeah, total discretion. Spoilers are ahead. We are going to be doing full spoilers with every episode that we do on this.
We should probably record our warning for the beginning of each episode. Yeah, the spoiler alert. We'll add that in.
Do it in post.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were saying?
Well, the opening. After the opening scene, and they cut to Zach describing that this is indeed a documentary, which was interesting. That I love that they did the documentary intro, and then the rest of the story plot line is this more like traditional road trip like they mixed two.
Yeah.
But I loved that Zach says, like most stories, this one starts with our hero opening a door into opportunity. And then they cut before he opens that he pauses and he doesn't actually open the door at any point.
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you. The mix between this sort of buddy road trip style comedy along with the mockumentary really went well. And I think that they used the fact that it was a mockumentary to its absolute highest point, right? They took those sad, somber moments that you don't really. You're not watching a comedy to see, but they're there. They make you feel just a little bit, and then they take it and they just make fun of it. When he leaves his friends, right?
Right.
Towards the end,
that classic.
Get the camera out of my
song.
face. Yeah. you told me to get everything, and then I don't know that end credits joke as well was also really good.
Oh,
oh, my professor's gonna love this.
I'll show it to my parents.
Yeah.
And I love that you said buddy film in with the road trip category, because they made it very clear that they were not buddies. This is a not this is a work associates road trip.
Yes, very much so. How did you feel about the casting then?
I love the casting, and now I was expecting, of course, to see all the big name cameos. Was really happy to see Matthew McConaughey at the beginning. I mean, I always love seeing Same with Paul Rudd. Those are names that when I see them appear on things like this, playing themselves, they always do something funny because they're both such parodies of themselves.
Yes.
But what I think really makes this show shine, and I don't know if you did it, you're grading this. I'm doing mine at a 30 based on our category. And for casting, I gave them a 10 out of 10. And I make that due to the character actor level that they have in this. And there's a lot of small parts that a lot of people, and although one big one, Carol, being played by Lauren Lapkus, who is all over Netflix now. We'll probably be saying that name a lot in the coming future here as new Netflix originals come out.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since she played a guard on Orange is the New Black, I've seen her everywhere. They even gave her own episode on Characters, which is that skit comedy show that Netflix is doing now. She's one of those great character actors that you just don't even remember where you loved her from originally, because I only realized once then looking up, because I was like, where did I first see her? And I was looking up on her IMDb, and it was the earliest show. You remember that with?
I wasn't there for that,
That was with. I think it might have been another. I think it might have been another Funny or Die program.
Was it?
But it was with Ben Schwartz and Lauren Lapkus doing this parody super early news show. And she was apparently in Jurassic World. I only watched that once.
I did notice that she was in that. I never saw that,
Oh, you never saw Jurassic World?
I never.
It's not worth it.
As much as I am a Chris Pratt fan.
Oh, yeah, I love Chris Pratt. And as much as I condone, there needs, and I hope, actually, this is my goal. This is my goal, that this podcast reaches a level that Netflix hears about us, and I plan on every episode preaching how Chris Pratt needs to play John Smith on the live-action Pocahontas. And if Netflix can make that happen...
Yes,
then,
that would
although
be
I don't know how Netflix would do that, because it's Disney, and Disney just separated from Netflix completely. So I don't know. That might be way out of my... That might be pipe dreams.
That might be a little out of our grasp, but
yeah,
we can dream.
But some other great character actors, like Mike the waiter, which I loved that line. And there's a lot of those little lines in there that they slip in with the, my name's Mike, you can call me Michael. And that was, I have it in my notes here who that, here we go. Because I remembered him from Role Models.
Mike? The diner guy?
Yeah.
That scene took place in Iowa, didn't it?
They filmed that in Iowa?
No. It took place in Iowa because they had just gone through Iowa, and they, for whatever reason, they talked to Queen Latifah in Iowa. You remember that? They showed the Iowa side when they were driving.
Are we talking about the same movie?
Yeah, we are. What are you talking about?
Role Models with Paul Rudd.
Oh, you're talking about Role Models. Okay, I was still talking Between Two Ferns. My bad.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
I thought you were talking about...
When he was in the diner took place in Iowa.
Yeah.
Now I feel like an idiot.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Now we're on the right track.
We're all on the same page now. We're good.
We're all on the same page. Clint is smart. Nick is an idiot.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
But that guy is 80 miles. And this might be just my other thing that will be my common trait, is pointing out those great character actors to keep your eyes out for. And I guess I'll let you start. Do you have some favorites of the guests that he interviewed?
Now, McConaughey, easily my number one, just because of the whole the water thing. I don't know. I got quite a lot of amusement from that. I don't know why that was funny, but like, it was prior to the whole flooding situation. But the dripping really just added for me.
And that really gets into the editing too. That was a great little.
Yeah. Unless they did that practically, unless they had some dude with a bucket just sitting up there, you know.
That would have been. I wouldn't put it past them.
Definitely. But then another one of my favorites that I wish was longer. I really wish that they would have taken the scene and ran with it, but I mean, for the sake of the plot, they had to change it around. Peter Dinklage.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, he's funny. He's so funny.
But see, that's a Peter Dinklage interview trait. It appears that he never really does a real interview. The joke is always that he's still the angry South Pole elf. Because I even heard him they had him on the Ron Burgundy podcast, and that was all he did. Peter Dinklage went on to talk about poetry.
Oh yeah.
But the whole time, Ron Burgundy was just playing with his sound effects board, interrupting Peter Dinklage until he just like got so furious that he hung up.
Oh God, that's funny.
But that I actually have some notes on that scene because well, first of all, I loved the whole that's my LaCroix Warhol.
Oh yeah. They had LaCroix back then? Yeah.
They did not. I was almost going to look that up just so I had the exact stats, but I feel like our listener base is aware those time periods do not overlap.
Definitely not.
But one thing that did make me curious was when she goes to seal the Fabergé eggs.
Yeah.
She just goes one at a time at first, but then still decides to steal all of them.
Grab the whole carton.
Plus the carton. But she takes the eggs separately rather than just grabbing the whole carton, which did make me wonder how heavy Fabergé eggs are. And I got all these stats here and then realized afterwards that, because I tried to look it up on Google, and then it was telling me a certain amount of ounces per egg, and there's 4 sizes to Fabergé eggs, which I didn't.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's another little note there.
I'm already learning more about Fabergé eggs than I ever thought I would.
Yeah. See, I almost wonder if there's a little less clout to Peter Dinklage's whole, oh, look at me and my Fabergé eggs, because they might have been small Fabergé eggs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, he's small.
Oh.
I don't think we can take that jab.
Oh, we can't? But, He's got a small Fabergé egg complex.
There we go.
But I tried looking it up, and and it showed me a certain number, but then it had in parentheses 2 ounces per egg for the small ones, and I don't remember what the rest said. And I had already done this math to add it up to 12, and I was like, are they giving me the weight for a dozen Fabergé eggs? Because then it has in parentheses 2. So I was like, do they sell them by the dozen? I've never heard of that before. And I thought that was the whole joke with Peter Dinklage's. Is like, everyone only owns 1 Fabergé egg, if any.
I own a card.
But yeah.
I was a fan at that point in the movie when he came back and said, right after they stole him, and he's like, oh, I still have 105 million in my savings account alone. I will survive.
You're a survivor, Peter. I had another note on casting. Oh, well, that did go a little bit into the scripting with Letterman doing his. It made me actually wonder how much is their interview scripted, because Letterman's part, especially in the bloopers, when he's rambling on about that thing, that was very Letterman. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's no way Scott Aukerman wrote that bit for Letterman. That's something Letterman actually had on deck.
That was all him. No, yeah, that's I'd be interested. They've always kept the production of those, like, no one really is all in on it. They never do really like a behind the scenes with them. So you wonder how much
they're a little bit more mysterious with it than they are with those other parody talk shows, which really all I can think of is like Eric Andre show and Comedy Bang Bang. But like,
and you got to wonder, you know, it's all in good fun, right? It's a parody, but you got to wonder how many of these reactions are actual genuine anger. Oh, you know, when you look back at the show, right?
Especially when he does the. I walked out of that movie. No, I'm just kidding. I skipped.
Skipped out. Yeah. I was so happy to be leaving.
That one's a pretty severe burn. Oh, also, and I think it was on the same gal that he does the you were in Pitch Perfect 2 and 3. You ever wish you were in the good one?
Didn't he also interview the one gal from Crazy Rich Asians?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was not a person whose name I knew before watching.
Yeah, no, I didn't know her name either.
Aquafina.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Like the water?
Like the water?
Yeah. Her interview was also really good. It was one that could have been a little longer as well. You know,
I also,
that's the only downside with these is like I just want it to be longer. You know, like if the movie was 82 minutes, right? I think they could have gone for a full hour and 40 instead. You know?
Yeah,
but I'm not trying to judge or anything in that respect. I'm sure that they wanted their jokes to be close knit together and one after another.
Yeah. And since the movie, I now more than ever want to see a buddy comedy with Paul Rudd and Zach Galifianakis because they paired so well. There was so much material there. They go off on the blooper reel for so long, the two of them, and especially since the Paul Rudd's I don't practice Judaism. I perfected it. That made me burst out laughing.
I screamed when that happened. I was like, I wasn't ready for it at all. They haven't done that joke yet. You know, They haven't done the Jewish jokes yet. I was like,
well, he did because he also had the one about the nose walking into the. I don't want to repeat that one because it's a little extra offensive, but.
And then, that was really good. And then on top of that, the whole Chrissy Teigen John Legend situation was.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god!
And that actually made me look the John Legend thing made me look up another thing, which was the EGOT, which I have kind of wondered if it because I was starting to wonder if it was a physical award. Like I knew that it was just. A term for people who won all the awards. Yeah. But do they give them a real one? Ooh. Is there like a thing that, because I tried looking this up and it's kind of vague.
Really?
I think it's not real.
So there's a chance though, is what you're telling me.
Well, there was never like, I couldn't find anything on any ceremony where somebody was awarded one either. And you'd think that would have been filmed, like, especially if I looked up John Legend, EGOT, but really it just gave me his stats. Like that was it. But when looking up where it came from, apparently the idea actually came from Tubbs from Miami Vice, who, by the way, has no awards.
I mean, I like Miami Vice. It's a cool show. I really like the aesthetic of it, but like,
it made me wonder, like, why he.
Yeah. I'm wondering as well, Nick, why he would come up with something like that for, something that'll never happen, but, whatever.
And now I'm seeing under my notes on that, there was another character with casting that I did look up because I was, once again, where do I know her from? And that was the student director. And that, if you're a College Humor fan, was Rekha Shikar from College Humor.
Really?
Yeah. And she has like an IMDb presence. Like she has a page now because of this movie, but there's no picture for her.
Rekha Shikar, you said?
Well, it might be Shankar.
Okay.
Because it was SHANKAR.
Yeah. So she was in some College Humor stuff before though, right?
Yes. Enough to where I recognized her face. Because I'm not like a huge modern College Humor follower.
A lot of this stuff that she's been in, I'm taking a look at her IMDb right now. Gods of Food, Total Forgiveness, independent stuff, right?
Yeah.
Stuff by Dropout. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the.
Is that a sect of College Humor or something?
Yeah, that's like their online TV network that they're doing now.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, webisodes really cool. That they don't release because everybody's got to have. That's the only way you can make consistent money now is having a streaming service because YouTube's so inconsistent.
Yeah, definitely.
But last thing I had to say on casting, I swear, because I feel like I stretched this way out
This
there.
segment's gone a little bit,
but it is the highest scoring segment in this.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Yes.
So, but Will Ferrell's part as himself, but just being credited as the founder of Funny or Die, which seemed strange to me. Because it seems just strange to put Will Ferrell up there and just put founder of Funny or Die without, like, just the preface of actor or director or whatever.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering, like, well, how much has Funny or Die made him versus his movie career?
Yeah.
It's his movie career is way more successful by a landslide. And it's also kind of hard to measure Funny or Die, because when I tried to look up its net worth, it actually gave me a range that's a very broad range. 170,000 to 2.19 million.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty broad range.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what that looks like on their W-2.
Yeah. Yeah, we might
Will
make
Ferrell,
enough to
release your tax form. But
birth certificate while you're at it. No, yeah,
yeah. But and Will's net worth is $100 million. And I didn't want to go through the whole math of his overall box office, plus then doing the math of how much his takeaway from each movie, because they all depend on whether it was his production company versus somebody else's. But he was just starring in it. And this kind of upset me. His highest grossing box office film, can you guess it?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say...
I mean, I guess I'm not surprised. I'm just offended by
Elf. If you're offended.
What? If I'm offended? I was actually surprised that Elf was just number 2. Because I thought it deserves number 1.
Okay. I was going to say...
Lego Movie got number 1.
That's hilarious. I find that extremely amusing because I had a great time watching the Lego Movie.
Oh.
All right.
Well, to be fair, I think it's probably the highest grossing movie in everyone. Like everyone in that movie is probably all of their highest grossing films.
It was a big movie.
Yeah. It is 283 million worldwide box office.
I mean, it was kind of cool, They actually did some stop motion with it, and I don't know. But yeah,
I didn't watch it.
And they had a really big cast, if I remember right. So that probably is a looming shadow for a lot of people. Anyway, did you have anything else on casting?
No, that was my last bit on casting.
Okay, so you had a lot of very, very good points. You gave them a 10 out of 10, right?
Yep.
All right, I gave them a 10 out of 10 as well. All the characters, like the central characters, when I'm focusing on them, because those are pure characters. They're not celebrities playing themselves, which I have. Yeah. Well, even the celebrities are playing characters, caricatures of themselves,
right?
In a bad interview. But so I thought all of the main core characters were extremely likable, and I couldn't put my finger on why. I just had a good time with everybody, right?
What's a weird thing, and it's odd because you just mentioned the main cat, and it made me think of it because I took way too many notes.
Yeah,
and so now
you have like 4 pages
flooded in
here.
notes. But the Cameron character and his intro with everybody calls me Cam, although a lot of people think I have that nickname because I'm a cameraman, but it's because my name's Cameron. Yeah. And I thought that was so funny on first listen, and now I've actually watched this. My notes taking viewing was actually my 4th viewing.
Wow, Nick.
Yeah, it's a little insane. But to be honest, I watched this once when they first announced it. I was just a little too excited. And then I was gonna watch it again anyways with my wife. But then she got sick when we were going to watch it, so I decided to watch it anyways while she napped. And then finally, I did watch it again when she was feeling better, and we got to watch it.
And then you watched it the 4th time for this?
Yeah, and then I watched it the 4th time for this.
Full circle.
Yeah, and on the 4th viewing, I completely missed the Cameron joke.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, they were in the diner, and then I was like, when did that Cameron joke happen? Because he had like another good line there. Yeah. And I was just like, what? Yeah. But
it was kind of a fast sequence.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was stuff like with those little opening introduction things. There's something to be said for that. it makes, for me at least, it makes me relate to the character. It makes me feel like they're my friend. Like I know a little bit about them. Whereas if you go into a movie and you don't know anything about the characters, you don't get as attached. And I kind of like that feeling, you know? In terms of this was something that I found really good. Zach Galifianakis has maintained his same character of the Between Two Ferns interviewer his entire time he's been doing this, and every time he went in to do an interview in this movie, he retained that character. It didn't change. Granted, it did feel a little more tame, you know, some of these interviews, but in a good way. You know, it was still amusing, and I really appreciated his performance there. And then all of the central actors, along with all of the side actors, very good at what they're doing, very convincing as their characters, and I couldn't complain about it. You know, I couldn't find a hole. You know,
definitely a solid cast, acting, all talent.
It's a 10 for me, man.
Yeah.
Moving on to the filmography, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I know you already mentioned the opening.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of points just for that right off the bat.
Yeah.
Now
they kept alternating in between throughout the entire thing. I don't know if you noticed, but like anytime they were doing the interviews, they would go back to that.
I did not notice that. That's weird how I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because had they kept it widescreen, I probably would have thought that felt weird.
Yeah.
You know? So it's almost because I'm so used to that format when in the between two, because it makes it feel crammed. That was the whole point, I think, that they did that formatting in the first place, just to make it feel cramped. But I did notice a couple of editing errors. Well, not really errors, I don't think. I think they were on purpose, but they weren't as smooth upon fourth watching.
Was it like continuity stuff or what?
A little bit. Like they'd use reactions out of order, and it became a little noticeable only with the like lesser known celebrities, like the one from Pitch Perfect 2 and 3. I noticed that there were like, because he gives that. There's a line where then she responds with this like, "Oh wow," but it was very clear that she said that before that line. So that was the only, as far as I can think. I loved the audio throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
The Fabergé egg carton creak, amazing, and I loved how tacky the Fabergé egg carton looked.
Oh, it was terrible.
It didn't. When he closed it, it didn't even close all the way. It was like warped, as if they purposely made this out of paper mache and then left it out in the sun to dry.
Gosh. That's a really, really good way to describe it.
Yeah,
I like that.
And only other error as far as like reality, I would say is, but all of Hollywood gets this wrong, it seems, is how mace works. Yeah. And this is back to the John Legend scene. When like a mace being sprayed in a closed studio like that.
Oh, that would have got to everybody.
That would have made everyone cry. No one would have been asking what happened. And also John Legend, he looked like one smooth SOB though doing it. I loved even the side angle they got, the way his body. It was weird how jazzy he looked while macing Zach Galifianakis.
Another point on that I did scream at because I loved it. When they showed John Legend's name, and they give a brief description below. They call them a Michael Bublé impersonator. I don't know. I couldn't handle that one either. I had to pause it because I couldn't get dialogue because I was laughing too hard.
Yeah.
I have tremendous appreciation. That also needs to be said in terms of plot. We'll get around to the plot review, but the little things like the writing on for the people's names on the interviews, you know, that's something they've always done. But oh my gosh, is it ever perfect?
Yeah. They've gotten better at that.
Yeah.
Where they put like a little, I think for that, they definitely had a board up with several options. for each person. They debated that one down to filming time.
Oh yeah, and then they did it with what was John Hamm's?
Oh, John Hamm. I love him
His
and
interview
everything
was
he appears
hilarious.
into. And that brings up another point. I love, because he goes into as you know, I don't say no to anything.
Yeah. I was surprised because I had just watched, or I just dug into Mad Men, right? And I'm like, oh gosh, this guy must be big time. You know, he has this huge role. He's this very complex character. And then I turned around and saw Baby Driver. And I'm like, oh, he took that. I mean, he fit it. You know, he's a great actor.
So I found where I wrote it, and it was the first thing I was actually looking at, but I kept getting distracted by the note under it, as I do, which was because it's my other John Hamm note. Mm-hmm. But he does average 9.7 projects a year.
Holy smokes. Yeah. He doesn't say no.
No.
I mean, I respect the grind. But like,
and because he makes that tag joke, and I mostly just laughed at John Hamm's reaction. I love John Hamm's smile.
Yeah, I have a TV show. Hey guys, I gotta go. Yeah, like he's doing a book signing, and then everyone applauds him as he leaves. Like,
but yeah, I looked up tag. Because I thought I had never heard of that. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, no, I do remember the previews for this. And it made me wonder, why had I not seen this? Because looking on IMDb, it's starring not only John Hamm, but Hannibal Buress, Ed Helms, Rashida Jones. Then I keep going, Jeremy Renner, which is probably why I didn't see it.
Why?
He's not a very good actor. Am I wrong?
No, he was great in Avengers. I mean,
okay. Well,
I can't name anything.
Are you
going to
say he
not
really
a Marvel
carried
movie,
the Avengers there?
No,
you think he did,
but he did
think
Hawkeye, right?
I guess.
If you saw, I'm not going to spoil. Well, can you? You could probably spoil Endgame at this point, right?
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you deserve... I mean, there's no way you've gotten this far without it being spoiled. And if you haven't seen it yet, you've made a point of not seeing it.
Yeah, but in Endgame, you know, like when Black Widow died, you know, it was like he nailed that, you know, like I
don't remember that scene.
You don't remember that scene?
No, that was the least memorable scene of Endgame to me.
Are you kidding me?
No.
ScarJo dying messed with me, dude.
Weirdly enough, I did not care about their characters throughout the entire series. There is not a moment where
heartless.
I loved actually when they introduced Black Widow, her introductory scene in whatever movie. There's the first Avengers. Yeah, that was a great scene.
When she like is tied to a chair and takes down a bunch of dudes while talking on a cell phone.
Yes, that was very entertaining, and it's the memory of her I like to keep in my mind and just forget every other appearance she's made on all the other Avenger movies.
We have gotten so far off track.
Yeah, now we're just ranting about her.
Let's pull back.
Let's reel it back.
What would you rate the filmography, Nick?
I gave it an 8.
An 8?
Yeah. I only deducted those points for... I'm going to keep it a standard that every movie that gets Mace wrong, deducted 1 point. I'm going to make that a standard. And then there's another point just for the... I don't know. There's a couple of clippy moments is all, I guess. Nothing in detail, but like I didn't feel right giving it a 9.
Traversely, I'm going to have to give it a 9. But the only thing that's keeping me from giving it an 8 is because you're talking about the clippiness in the interviews, right? And I understand where you're coming from. This is a big time movie, you know. But that's how they did it in the videos back then, you know.
I guess that is true. And since you mentioned the format change, they probably do deserve a 9.
Yeah.
But just to be argumentative, I'm going to make it an 8.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of time for arguing, so we can definitely do that.
The score may change, I guess. Since, we do have that programmed into the schedule.
That is, it's on there. But yeah, I am going to give it a 9. I really appreciate that format change. Every time they went into a show, and they used different cameras and everything, and you know you could feel the difference, you know, when you were just watching it, and you didn't even have to actively look that hard, but you could tell, and I appreciate that. And then not even to mention, outside of it's a good looking movie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking of scenes here. Like when he did when Zach did leave his friends, you know, that walking in the rain scene, you know, minus the whole stop filming me, you know, if that stuff, it was pretty, you know.
This is true,
and I have respect for it. And audio, I didn't hear anything that was like, oh, that's bad, you know. That's mainly what you want with audio,
right? Yeah.
you want people to not notice it. You don't want people to not have to think about it. You just want it to be there, and you want it to be natural.
It's like makeup.
Yeah, exactly, exactly like makeup. And then, you know, when I watch a movie, I like to feel like if I wanted to, I could, you know, step through the screen and be in a world, you know. And you know, they sure did that. It was pretty easy to do in this sense. I have that category in there mainly to distinguish, like if we get into something sci-fi, you know, but relatively entertaining. You know, it was good. So I'm gonna give the filmography a 9.
Finally, plot
review. Yes. You want to start this, or you want me to start it?
I'll let you lead the way on this one.
All right. So your characters and your flow and your attention keeping is what we're grading this on, right? Characters, obviously, this is an easy one for characters. They're so diverse, you know, and you got every type of character in this movie that you could possibly need. Everyone's extremely likable. Everyone is, you know, you got great actors all through this, right? It's a winning formula right here. And then the only thing plot wise that I would have appreciated is if Peter Dinklage had a little more fight in him, you know, because he kind of just, I mean, it was a good joke. It was a good joke. But in terms of plot points, I'm like, what? No, he's not just gonna like let him drive off.
Also, where were they going to sell the Fabergé eggs? Just if we're going to touch on realism again.
He came back with a handful of 20s, so it tells me he didn't make very much.
Right? Yeah.
So our characters are good. Our flow and our attention keeping go hand in hand, right? I didn't feel distracted in that movie at all, right? I was kept. That's something that's tough for a comedy in 2019 as well, is to keep an audience's attention. For me, this did it. Comedy it seems like it's a dying genre, and it's more bleeding into every other genre.
Right.
You watch a horror movie, there's going to be a bunch of campy jokes in there. You watch an action movie, there's going to be a bunch of one-liners.
Right. You can't get away with an action film anymore without actually good one-liners.
Yeah.
That's sort of the Ryan Reynolds change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Deadpool.
Right, exactly.
So I feel like for a comedy in 2019, it kept my attention perfectly, and then as perfectly as you can, you know. Obviously, when my roommate started making chicken strips wrapped in bacon, I was a little distracted. But not terribly. And then the flow of the plot, for the most part, made sense. You know, it was not hard to get around.
I will put in
the opening, the reason that this all started, threw me off, and in a good way. You know, there's underwear liners in the pipes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There were some. I mean, most of the plot was pretty forced, which was on purpose. I mean, that was clearly part of the style. They were kind of making fun of the classic buddy road trip
another
format.
Plot thing. Yeah.
Like especially
hey, we found a guy to drive us to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Or right before that, when he, he says, well, I meant that he was going to pay for it in future tense, and that the other Cameron then goes, oh, you were lying about that? I bet he didn't even ask for us specifically either. And it's like, because that always happens. That's always the very next thing. As soon as the lie is discovered, all the characters have discovered all the lies.
Oh, yeah.
Which, that was another forced point, was that it didn't seem like a necessary lie. Like, especially if he just would have been like, No, yeah, I made a deal for my own show, but I will bring you with me if you help me film these. Like, it seems like a very obvious, smarter way to go about it. But as far as the general flow, I do have to say there were a few scenes that seemed to just, like, it was just trailed out in order to get a joke out.
Yeah.
Like after the flood and Will Ferrell makes the deal for the Lifetime night,
the late night
show on the Lifetime network. And he gets out his saber to crown him FOD.
Knight him. Yeah.
Which FOD, I was kind of confused what that even...
Funny or Die.
Oh, Funny or Die.
Yeah.
Okay. I was so confused because I thought he like said it like it was a title for him.
Yeah.
He is Funny or Die. Like it didn't, but that just seemed to like the pacing of that scene just didn't seem to quite work.
Did you notice in his what's this part of the suit called? The lapel, right?
Yeah.
It was like bedazzled FOD.
Oh,
all over.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another little thing. I wondered if you noticed that, but
I love that was really what they had to do to make that costume even silly, because I will say Will Ferrell kind of rocks the bolo tie.
He does.
If the rest of it wasn't so glammed up, him in just a regular suit with a bolo tie pulls it off.
Easily. Anyway, so going back over that plot, yeah, some of it was forced. We'll give it about a 7 for me. Just because great jokes, casting is great, but your plot's a little jumpy, and that's going to happen when you do a comedy, and you have to chase some jokes,
Right.
I don't know that I've ever seen. Actually, I do know that I have seen. There's been one comedy I've ever seen that's done this perfectly, and that's going to be. Have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber? Of course.
Yeah,
of
course.
That's one that just flows right one into another, and I have so much appreciation for that. For me, at least, I don't know. I mean, some of it was a little, forced, but it made sense to me as an 8-year-old watching it for the first time. Anyway, so I'm gonna give the plot a 7, and that leaves the filmography with a. What did I give?
You said you gave it a 9.
9, right? Yeah, and then a casting with a 10. So that puts us at. Let me do math.
I think you're at a
27.
27 at a.
Yes.
Well, as far as my plot goes, I loved that they bothered, because I will say that is one thing with this movie. They did not have to bother. They really didn't need to put a plot in. It could have just been one bit. Okay, here's what we're doing.
We're doing a bunch of interviews.
Yeah. But he actually threw in a plot there, and even adding in the documentary part of it that was kind of forgotten by the end of it, which is sort of why I'm subtracting points a little bit.
They kept putting it, like throwing it back in.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, but kind of...
Yeah, a little unnecessary.
Suck you out a little bit,
yeah. And I have to subtract them some points because my wife, on the viewing with her... by the time we got to the Dinklage scene, she had forgotten the whole thing that Zach had lied about being funded. So she was like, why are they stealing from Peter Dinklage? Because the plot had lost her a little bit. So I gave them a 5 for the plot. Dang. Which is cruel, but
we are being critical here.
Yes, this is critical.
Yeah.
So I plan on making this a standard that, like, they're 77%, the 23 out of 30. That is good. That is 77% decent. That's what I put here, because we got to have our own thing. It can't be fresh. Decent. That's where I have it at overall. 77%. Which I'm going to say is a good, that's like a prep school 77%. That's a good score.
I feel like that's too low. I feel like...
Well, wait till next week, because I'm going to make us watch a bad one next.
Okay, yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But 77, percent. I'm sitting at, I'm giving him an A right now. 27 out of 30. I don't know, man. I feel like this movie was better than that.
Well, I will say they probably, for filmography, especially since they surprised me with the constant formatting change, which I was not I didn't even realize was registering with me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have to bump that category probably all the way up to the 10. I'll because
Okay,
of my
there
own
we go.
error, I will forgive their mace error.
Okay.
So that takes them up to a 25%.
If anything, you should put the mace error.
Or 25 out of 30, not 25%. That'd be terrible.
I think you should put the mace error. If you wanted to keep it, you should put it in plot. Just because that's writing, isn't that?
Well, I thought just filmography as far as the realism.
Oh, okay. That's yeah. I guess that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what you bump it up to?
It's now 25 out of 30.
Okay.
So still slightly lower
So
than
a B.
yours.
A
Yeah,
B.
it's a B.
Okay. Well, I think we can agree on that. I'm willing to lower my my plot review to come settle with you on a B. Let's say 26.
Yeah,
don't know.
So that's our overall agreed.
that's our overall,
yeah, that
like,
would be the
That's a median. Or
yeah,
whatever.
that's the median.
Yeah.
26.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, what is this podcast called?
What
are we calling this?
Original review.
Original review.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to set up some social medias with that. Probably
Okay.
just one. I'll probably focus on
Twitter.
Twitter. You want it to be
I don't know.
Instagram?
Well,
maybe
for something like this, Twitter probably makes sense, doesn't it?
I suppose. Yeah, get a little more live response.
I mean,
that
you
way.
guys in the future, you know what we chose already. So,
right?
Yeah.
So you guys go to that social media and let us know what Netflix original you want to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure it's one you've seen because spoilers.
Yeah, we will spoil it completely like we just have today, but we warned you about it so we don't feel bad.
And I do want to make it a pattern that the next one should be a terrible one. I kind of want to.
Oh yeah,
yeah. This was our good pick, guys.
I already have some ideas.
Yeah.
Next week's gonna be fun.
Is Nicolas Cage done in Netflix originals?
Definitely, I love it. Anyway, thank you for joining us for Original Review. I've been Clint. He's been Nick. Check us out on socials, whatever social we end up on.
And also wherever subscribe on wherever you're hearing this.
Yes, please. That helps us out a lot. Leave a review, 5-star review, or even a 4-star. Just
I'll accept a 3.
Yeah. Interact.
But give
with
an
us.
explanation.
That helps us out more than you know. And I think that'll be the show. Thanks for listening.